that you gave us. So I think that's a great use of city's money, of your donation. Now, I'm going to probably get carried away when I say this, but I can't help it. I believe the festival was second to none in the area. I think it was wonderful. It went well, not because I was involved in it, but because that we had a lot of people believing in what we wanted to do, and they hopped on board. And I just see it continue to grow. I could see if we continue to have people on board, to believe in what we're doing, this is going to be a must-see event in our area for years to come. I know you've probably heard this, but within a 50-mile radius of Vienna, there's about 450,000 people that live. Can you imagine? If we have this as a must-see event, what it's going to do to this area, not only to Vienna, but Marietta, Belgrade, Parkersburg, anybody that comes in this area that eats, shops, gets gas, and et cetera, and spends the night. We can only be successful if we secure the sponsorships. The city has approved the $25,000 in their 22-23 budget in last year's for this year's Freedom Festival. Our budget for this year's Freedom Festival is about $202,000. Approximately, entertainment takes about 52% of that. Advertising about 18%. Fireworks about 10%. Logistics about 6%, and others about 14%. And also, some of that money, board members paid out of their pocket, to help meet our budget. That is about a 36% increase over our 2022 budget. This increase is due to groups we're bringing in. Last year we had two people that we paid a significant sum for. This year we're having four. Costs are going up. You've heard that already. The stage costs, lighting costs, services increased, etc. So, that's why there was a larger increase in our budget. I got a feeling we're going to be under budget. For example, our fireworks, they're keeping this. They're not increasing the budget this year. Mainly, they told me because that I wanted a Saturday. I had a Saturday marked in the calendar, and somehow, some way, it got lost or whatever, and they could not get to us on Saturday. So we're having fireworks on a Friday night this year. June 30th, Friday night, will be our fireworks. The president of the fireworks company said that since we did not get our night, he was going to keep the costs the same. So there's some money we're saving right there, so that should help us to get under budget. Jack, I know, spoke last week about the bands, but Friday night, we're starting off with Insured Sound, and I was trying to remember when the mall had a festival down there. Insured Sound was the first time they had it. They sang there. I don't know what year that was. I don't know if it was in the 80s or late 70s. 84? Okay, thank you. All right. But Assured Sound will start the evening off with, then Huey Mack will come on stage, and finally Tusk. We'll have a carnival food, we'll have a craft show, car show, and the fireworks. Saturday night will include 4 bands. Sour Mash will start out, Sour Mash String Band, Sarah Allison Turner, and then Drake Milligan. We'd like to get the 247th Army Band in to play again like they did last year. That's still being worked on. We'll continue to have the carnival, food, crafts. We're hoping to have another show under the tent where the car show was, maybe a motorcycle show. That's been in the works. And then we'll have balloon rides down at the Spencer's Landing. This year we'll have 2 balloon rides instead of just 1 to keep up with the demand. Of course, our success depends upon the weather. Everything's outside, so let's pray we'll have good weather. And then finally, my request for the 23-24 fiscal year is $40,000. That amount will be earmarked for the 24 Vienna Freedom Festival. And Mayor, I have a sheet of paper here. If you have that on there. so no one gets confused. Any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
I attended the Budget and Finance Committee meeting in which it was discussed that you all, Friends of Vienna, would like to put on a rodeo at
Yes, ma'am.
Spencer's Lane. Is that still on the table?
Yes, yes, it is.
So that would be an additional conversation about funding?
Yes,
And that's going to be, I think they said 25,000?
yes.
So what you're asking for right now is just $40,000 to actually be used July of 2024. I mean,
That
I
is
know
correct.
it would be in the 23-24 budget, but, and so then at some other time, there'll be an ask for the rodeo.
That'll be a rodeo for this year, so the way I see it, it's a 22-23 budget request, not a 23-24.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when are you going to come and ask for the rodeo money is what I'm getting at.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to see the big picture.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're at 40 and now an additional 25.
Yeah,
Council
it's
approves the rodeo.
close. I think we're still waiting on some things. Mayor, did you want to speak to that, or?
No.
Okay. Okay, so here's the thing. The rodeo itself costs $15,000 to get the Zebra Rodeo event in. We'll have it down at Spencer's Landing. There's some work we need to do. We need to put 8 inches of dirt down there. So the animals can perform. That's the minimum amount of dirt. Normally, they would plow things up. But we're going to actually add the dirt, not touch underneath. Then the other $12,000 is for the portable stands that we have to rent. We're thinking we're renting for 1,000 people. It costs about $12,000. So that's what we're looking at as far as the value goes.
Okay, I know you're not really prepared to talk about the rodeo tonight, so I'm not going to press you on it, but I was just trying to get a sense of that, because I think when we look at what this costs in all terms, it's not only just the financial donation that the city gives, but it's also the in-kind donation, and you talked about it earlier when you thanked the police officers, public works, the fire department, and I'll also add the parks department, because I believe they helped set up some tents and things. But I know after the event was over, and I did follow up with the finance director, and I think there was another $10,000 or so in those costs for what went to the employees. So I just want to get a full picture of what we're talking about. So, like I said, I have a lot of questions about the rodeo, but obviously you're not
Go ahead
going
and
to
ask.
talk about
I
it.
mean, I'll answer what I can for you.
I'm respectfully, I'm not going to, just for you, because I don't want to put you in a position. I'd rather ask it when you all come. I'm a little bit surprised, since now this is outside agencies, we're talking about what we want to do with the budget, that we're not having that conversation now, but that's okay. I just want to, put that on everybody's radar, that that's also going to be part of the conversation at some point. So.
Yep, that will be. But to me, that is for the 22-23, that will fall under that. So the reason why I didn't mention the rodeo is not because I was trying to hide anything. I was talking about the 23-24 budget request.
Right, and so
that's
we
why I
would have
didn't
to
mention
do a budget revision, similar to what we did last year, because it was the same thing. You guys came with a request, and then we did a budget revision later on for $25,000, and so.
Yeah, I would say that would be coming soon. I just don't know how soon. But I would think by the end of the month we should know something.
Okay. So I do have a question about the balloon rides. How much did you charge per person?
I believe it was $10. $25. I tell you, and I apologize for I feel like I'm not prepared for that. When the board put this thing together, we were all spread so thin, I didn't even pay attention to the balloon rides. I figured someone else is taking care of it. I was more concerned about the area, the fireworks, and making sure it was secure and safe. 10? It's $10.
Yeah, I was just curious because I knew there was a charge for it. I did hear a lot of good responses from people that did that. Me, I would never do that. But
They were tethered. I think they went 50 feet in the air, so we don't have to worry about them being shot down. So that's good. That was bad. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Can't help myself sometimes. It was tethered, and they come down, and in order to have the balloon ride, there's got to be, the atmospheric pressure's got to be right, the wind's got to be right, the temperature's got to be right. They got to do it in the evening. So this year we thought maybe 2 balloon rides that will help ease some of the traffic that was down there.
and you said that was going to be on Saturday.
Yes.
Okay, so all right, potentially be setting up a rodeo and having blue rides, all at Spencer's Landing, lots of activity.
It's going to be exciting. I hope it happens. I hope the rodeo happens. I hope it comes through. It's new for this area. I mean, Washington County has, they've had rodeos, but as far as Vienna, I don't think there's ever been a rodeo. So we are penciled in on the date with Zebra. That's the company that's doing it. I think it's going to come to fruition. I know we've been going to some businesses to try to get sponsorship just for the rodeo. We haven't had anything yet make a commitment on that.
Well, that's all my questions. Thank you very much.
No, you're welcome. Yes, sir.
Did you say that brought in a million?
1.1 million. That's about $100 per person with 11,000 people attended. That's if 11.
So that'd be about $15,000 being overtaxed.
Depending where that money's spent. Yeah, probably. I don't know that end of it. Anything else?
I just had a quick question because I know the Friends of Vienna does more than just the Freedom Festival. So could you maybe talk a little bit about that? And then is any of the money that you're asking for that next year going towards anything else, or is it just for the Freedom Festival?
Yeah, that's a good question. The lines get blurred sometimes with the Tree and Beautification Committee. I know we do the baskets on Grand Central, the flower baskets, and we also do the Christmas bulbs on the trees during the Christmas season. Normally those are pretty well self-sufficient, like we charge enough to cover, those costs. And then I know there's a work on a book that we're trying to put together about the history of Vienna. Again, those lines get a little bit crossed with the Tree and Beautification. So that's why I didn't speak on that. It's not because I think a lot of times those are in the Tree and Beautification area.
I just have a follow-up to that. Are you finished?
Yeah, I guess cool. Well, because one of the things I know that you guys have worked on is the Trek Vienna project, right? Or is that with?
That's Tree and Beautification. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, I mean, Chris brought up something, and I was probably going to wait and ask this when Jack presents for Tree and Beautification. I mean, I'm on that committee, so I go to the meetings.
Yeah, so you see how they get.
Yeah, which brings a good question is because the city actually pays for that comes out of the general fund budget for the baskets along Grand Central. That's not going to be in the.
Last year, the city did not pay for other flowers, paid for other flowers throughout town.
Okay, well, that's my confusion because I thought the city did pay for that. Okay. Well, I know they're sponsored, but I thought that was in the Tree and Beautification budget. That's what I was asking. That was going to be my question. Was if the city's paying for it and then you go out and sponsor, how's that money come back to the city? So squaring it up.
Okay.
And I.
Same with the trees, the Friends of Vienna pays to put lights in the tree. That's how they do their Christmas.
Okay.
Because they're paying for the lights.
And those are pretty well, like I said, I think we sometimes break even with that or make a little bit of money on that.
All right, Rodney, thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you and your committee. All right, that concludes our agenda this evening. Are there any council comments? Mr. Tom?
I just, everybody knows about the train wreck up in Palestine, East Palestine. I think, I'm sure we have emergency plans, but that very thing could happen right here in River City. And I think we ought to look at being the utmost, as much as you can prepare for it. You know, they say you can't prepare for war, but make sure that we're as prepared as possible if something like that would happen. I don't think it was a derailment. I think an axle overheated and caused a fire. And so and some of those cars that go by look like they were out when they drove to Spike out somewhere in the Midwest. And it looked pretty beat up, so I hope it never happens. I think
Tom has a good
do
point.
everything to be prepared.
A very good point, and I've been thinking about that as well. And you know, one thing that strikes me as far as rail, you got to realize that the entire western edge of our city, from one end to the other, runs a rail. From one end to the other, the whole entire west. And the other thing too, and Tom kind of alluded to it, is, you know, and I saw this when I was doing Homeland Security, is the statements and the comments are like, yeah, that can't happen here. And that just used to scare the hell out of me, because, you know, it can. I mean, those, you know, East Palestine's a small community, I think just shy of 5,000 people. And I would say that not one of them, you know, thought maybe, or didn't think that, you know, it would probably happen in their town. And you look at all the others, the natural disasters, and the shootings, you know. So, yeah, it's you know, it's a concern, and the emergency plan is going to be looked at critically, and probably more important, or as important as having a plan, and I think is one of the main things in preparedness for any kind of disaster is knowing your resources. What are your resources, and where do you get them, and how do you get those resources? I think it's going to be a very significant part of that's going to play into this, into the plan, Tom.
Just as a follow-up for Tom, the problem with that chemical spill was it got into some of the waterways up around East Palestine. And the city of Vienna does not get its water from the Ohio River. We pull ours out of the aquifer, which is anywhere between 80 and 100 feet underground. And so we're not pulling water out of the Ohio River, but every bit of water that we distribute to the residents also goes to our carbon filters, and the carbon filters would remove any of that if by some freak chance there was some leakage or whatever. But at this point, I believe they've contained it, and I don't believe there's any risk at all for the city of Vienna, but we are prepared for that. And to Roger's comment, we've had extensive meetings with the railroad for that very reason. He's absolutely correct that, you know, it runs the entire western border of our city. And so the railroad they've got a very active response team. And so with our police and fire departments and public works, we do have a very proactive hazard plan. So I'm very confident that, we can respond. We hope it never happens, but we do have all the pieces in place to respond with. So, of course, Mr. Bibby, being one of our former firemen, knows that sometimes things happen and you have to respond quickly. So, anyway,
The smoke would be.
a problem. A problem. Yep.
Be a horrible problem. When you get lung damage, when you get no way to.
Mayor, I appreciate you bringing everybody up to date about our water. I'm sure several of us have probably gotten a lot of calls lately about water, lots of concerns about what's coming down the Ohio River. And I really appreciate you addressing that this evening. I think hopefully it'll relieve some folks' minds. With that being said, I would really appreciate it actually if on the city's Facebook page, if you guys can just update the citizens and let them know just what you said this evening, because I think if we can get that word out that we're in a good position in Vienna because we have the aquifers and everything being percolor filtered. So
It's been on social media since the day after the event, and it was the same notice was put in the newspaper.
okay, totally missed it then.
Yeah, I mean, people were concerned about that.
Yeah, they are.
Yep.
Very much so.
All right, any other? All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming this evening. Hey, Jim. Hey, Tom. David Kelly told me. David Kelly told me.